Picture this. You wake up tomorrow, and your morning coffee costs a little more than it did yesterday. Nobody warned you. Nobody asked. It happens again next week, and the week after. Slowly, silently, your money is shrinking. But where exactly is it going? And who benefits? We're told inflation is an accident, a mistake, a villain that governments desperately fight against. But what if that story is a lie? What if the very people who promise to protect your money have a secret, quiet reason to want its value to slowly, steadily disappear? Think about it. Every year, prices climb. Every year, they claim to be surprised. But this pattern has repeated for over a century now. When something fails this consistently, this predictably, you have to ask yourself a chilling question. What if it isn't failing at all? What if inflation isn't a bug in the system, but a feature? A hidden tool that no politician will ever openly admit they love using. In this journey, we'll uncover a story of debt, of power, and of a silent tax you pay every single day without ever knowing it exists. We'll travel through empires that crumbled, wars that were secretly financed, and promises quietly broken behind marble palace walls. So, hold on tight, because by the end, you'll never look at the money in your wallet the same way again. Let's uncover the truth together. To understand this secret, we must travel back in time to ancient Rome, where emperors first discovered a hidden power over money. The Roman denarius was once pure silver, but rulers found a quiet trick: melt it down, add cheaper metals, and mint far more coins. Nobody noticed at first. The coins looked identical, felt identical. Yet each one carried less true value than the day before. This was the world's first inflation experiment, and the people paying the price had absolutely no idea what was happening to them. By the 3rd century, the silver content had collapsed to almost nothing. Prices soared, and the mighty empire began to tremble. But here's the chilling part. The emperors didn't stop, because this quiet trick had solved a problem no army ever could. It let them pay soldiers, fund wars, and build monuments, all without raising a single unpopular tax on their citizens. Think about that for a moment. A way to take wealth from millions of people, silently, without them ever voting against you. This ancient secret never truly died. It merely waited, sleeping in the shadows, until new empires would discover it all over again. And what Rome began with silver, the modern world would perfect with paper, a tool far more powerful and far more dangerous. Now, here's where the story takes a darker turn. What if inflation isn't a bug in the system, but a carefully hidden feature? Imagine borrowing a fortune today, then paying it back with money worth far less tomorrow. That's the illusion governments never mention. Think about it. Every dollar you save quietly loses value, while somewhere, someone benefits enormously from your slow, silent loss. But who exactly is that someone? To answer that, we must follow the money into rooms where ordinary citizens are never invited. For centuries, kings and emperors faced the same brutal problem. They needed money for wars, but their treasuries always ran dry. So they discovered a trick so clever, so invisible, that people paid for it without ever realizing they were being charged at all. They melted coins, mixed in cheaper metals, and reissued them as if nothing changed. The people never noticed until prices climbed. And here's the chilling part. This ancient trick never died. It simply evolved, hiding behind modern words we barely understand. Today, no one shaves your coins. Instead, invisible printing presses create money from nothing, and your savings quietly bleed away. So the real question grows louder. If governments know this secret, why do they keep it hidden? And what are they truly protecting? But here's where the story turns dark. Every empire that leaned on this secret weapon eventually watched the cracks begin to spread. Rome learned this lesson the hard way. Emperors quietly shaved silver from their coins, believing no one would ever truly notice. At first, it worked like magic. Soldiers were paid, temples were built, and the illusion of endless wealth spread across the empire. But the people weren't fools. Slowly, merchants raised their prices, sensing the coins in their hands had quietly lost their power. What began as a clever trick spiraled into chaos. Within decades, Roman prices soared by thousands of %, terrifying everyone. The mighty empire that ruled the world was being hollowed out, not by invading armies, but by the very money it printed to survive. And Rome was not alone. Centuries later, another nation would repeat this exact mistake, with consequences far more devastating. In 1920s Germany, the printing presses ran day and night. Money poured out faster than anyone could possibly spend or even count it. People carried cash in wheelbarrows just to buy bread. A loaf that cost pennies at dawn cost billions of marks by nightfall. This was the terrifying danger lurking beneath the secret. So why do governments still play with this fire? The answer awaits ahead. The money in your pocket is dying. Every second, prices climb higher, and your savings quietly vanish into thin air. But why? Imagine bread costing double by nightfall. Families rushing to spend before the numbers change again. This isn't fiction. It happened. In 1920s Germany, people burned cash for warmth. It was cheaper than firewood. The currency had become worthless paper overnight. Wheelbarrows full of money just to buy a loaf. Children stacked billion-mark notes like toy blocks. Total, unimaginable chaos. Yet here's the chilling twist. While citizens drowned in despair, someone somewhere was quietly, secretly winning from all this. Think about it. If your money loses value, so does the money you owe. Debts shrink. And who owes the most on earth? Governments. The people suffer, but the state breathes easier. Its massive mountain of debt melts silently, like snow under a rising sun. But surely leaders wouldn't want this pain, right? Surely they fight inflation with everything they have? Or do they only pretend? The deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Every crisis, every panic, seems to serve a hidden purpose we're not meant to notice. So the real question burns brighter than ever. If inflation destroys us, why do they secretly love it? The answer is coming. So here it is, the truth we've circled for so long. Governments don't fear inflation. They quietly depend on it to survive their debts. Every printed note silently shrinks the mountain of debt they owe. Inflation is the invisible tax nobody ever votes to approve. You feel it at the store, in your rent, in your shrinking savings. But the state feels only relief as its burden quietly evaporates. This is the great transfer. Wealth moves from savers to borrowers, from citizens to the largest debtor of all, the government itself. History warned us again and again. Rome, Weimar, Zimbabwe. Each time leaders swore it was temporary, and each time the people paid. The danger is subtlety. A little inflation feels harmless, even helpful. But it is a slow fire that can consume an entire economy. So how do you protect yourself? Understand that cash quietly loses value while real assets, skills, and knowledge tend to endure. Ask questions. Watch the numbers. When leaders promise painless spending, remember someone always pays, and it is usually you. Inflation is not fate. It is a choice, made in quiet halls of power. And the more we understand it, the harder it is to hide. So the next time you hear the word inflation, don't just worry. Remember the secret, and never let them tell you it was an accident.